Hello, this is Malorian, and this is the Orc Tactical Team. And what I want to talk about today is getting the advantage in the deployment phase and then keeping the advantage in subsequent movement phases. So this is something that probably most people already do, but then don't follow up on. So we all know that a lot of the who's going to win the game right now can also be determined by who gets the best matchups in the deployment phase. Of course, you got your list building, you get deployment, and then you get how you use the army, and then you get luck. And so a big portion of it is how you deploy the army. You can have a better list and you can have better tactics, but if you set up yourself horrible tactics, or horrible deployment rather, sorry, or put some of your critical things off where they're going to be useless during the game, you're just going to have a hard time trying to win. And so, of course, the way that you want to try and get ahead in this deployment phase is you want to be just throwing out useless units. You don't want to be jumping in and saying, oh boy, this is my best unit, I'm putting it dead center, let's go. Okay, then this one, then this one. You want to be throwing out the useless things first. You know, the single trolls, the fast cav, right? The stuff where they're going to be going on the flanks anyway, for the most part. They constitute a very small portion of your actual force. They give a more minuscule tactical advantage, and they can only be countered in very slight ways, so just throw them out there. And the idea is that it's almost a war of attrition between you and your opponent, where you want your opponent to be putting down critical units first so that you can be placing the counters. And once you get that on your side, all of a sudden you can be just set for the game, and all you have to do is follow it up. And so a lot of people are really good with this. You know, they know, throw out the little cheap things first, and then watching what their opponents place down. Okay, you got archers here, here are my knights. You got your great weapon guys here. Okay, here's my guys with extra choppas to kill you before you hit back. You know, oh, here's your monster. Okay, well, here's my steadfast unit. And they'll get all this stuff all set up. But then they might start playing defensive. And once you start playing defensive, the whole thing follows through. Now, I don't mean that you have to be going to the game and just going crazy and throwing things up, doing long bomb charges and all this. That can just be reckless and stupid. But what you need to do is to make sure that they can't alter and correct for what you've already done. Because if you do that, then you just lost that advantage. Now, where the real danger comes from is that no man's land between you and your opponent. Because they're not going to be charging you right away all the way through, but during that time when your armies move together, they can be correcting that deployment mistake. And the ways of doing that is that either if you give them enough time, they can swift reform and kind of crisscross and then all of a sudden be changing the matchups. Or if you really just let them come and bring it to you, well, they can come down and charge at slants. So even though you wanted these matchups, all of a sudden you're getting these matchups, which is probably not exactly what you wanted. So obviously what you need to do then is that in your subsequent movement phases, you need to be pushing up to make sure that you're going to be keeping those matchups. Decrease the room between them, decrease the amount of time that they can, or space that they have to correct, and then all of a sudden you're going to keep those advantages. Because, of course, not only do they probably have less room to try and crisscross, but if your units are just like this, well, they can't charge to get to the other one over here. Now, there are going to be some little caveats to this. Of course, you know, in 8th, getting the charge isn't all that important. So if their guys with the great weapons get the charge and you guys with extra choppas, you still don't care, right? You're still going to be killing them before they even get to hit, and that's going to be fantastic. Of course, with some things, with knights and stuff that give you a big advantage when you charge, there's going to be little variances to this where either going to be more careful or there's going to be other units there to bait and ensure you get the charge. But in some cases as well, you don't have to worry because, you know, if archers charge your knights, that's fantastic. You kill them, you combat reform or charge something else. Whereas you don't want to be going a little bit too far away, and all of a sudden the archers might either back up so that you might fail a charge, or they might run past your line of sight. So you're better off just being aggressive and forcing that matchup, saying, well, here we go. And again, another little note on this is, of course, that doesn't work so well with skirmishers sometimes, where they can then just pass their march test and go past you. But in block versus block combat, that we can do is just match up and say, this is going to be our matchups. I have won the deployment phase, and now I'm not going to allow myself to lose this by letting you correct for it later on by being defensive myself. And that's really the whole point. So Just again, a fast summary going through. When you're deploying, throw out crappy things first, the things that are going to be very minor to your overall plan in the battle, and then wait for your opponent to place critical things and then place to counter. And then when it comes to your turn ones and turn twos, just march your units up and make sure that you're going to be going and enforcing that those matchups are going to happen, rather than them being able to crisscross and correct, or to change where they're charging and being able to correct for it. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Bye.